All right, so welcome to the show. We've got Jeff.loveland here with Guaranteed Rate. My name's Eddie Johnson. I'm a realtor here in Denver, and today we're going to be talking about appraisal gap. What is an appraisal gap? Okay, I get this question a lot with new buyers. Okay, so we're making offers on a home. Okay, we're checking out places. We find your dream home. There's also 10 other people that too love this dream home. Okay, so we're now competing with competing offers against other people. So unless you're buying cash, if you are, call me. Unless you're buying cash, you're going to be getting a loan, right?
Right.
And so let's just say you're doing a 20% down conventional loan. Okay. You're going to go over your purchase price because you want to win this home, right? Let's say we'll use the $500,000 home value because it's very, simple. Let's say you're going to do 10% over. You're going to offer $550 for this home. Okay. It doesn't really matter that much to the listing agent or the seller, unless if that home appraises for $550, which maybe they're not sure about.
Sure.
So they're going, okay, well that's great and all, but if the home appraises for $500, they know now that we're probably going to get into a negotiation to lower that price down to $500, right? The true value of the home. But not in this seller's market, so probably going to put an appraisal contingency or provision in that contract, right? Some people do what's called a full appraisal gap. What does that mean?
Essentially, you're guaranteeing your offer, right? You've offered $550,000.
Yeah.
If you do a full appraisal gap, that means doesn't matter if it comes in at $400,000, you're going to make that up with cash, right?
Did you hear that?
That's essentially what that means.
If it appraises at $400, now you're coming with 20% on $400 plus $150. Okay, so now that's $80 plus $150. It's $230,000 in cash now.
Correct.
That you have to come to the closing table with. So you got to be careful.
Yep.
Got to know what you're doing.
Right.
Let's say it appraises at $500 at the purchase price, or
Sure.
not the purchase price, but the list price. They had it listed for $500. You offered $550. It appraises at $500.
Right. So then it depends on what your contingency looks like, right? If you've done the full contingency, like you've mentioned there, you're out your down payment off of $500, like you said.
$100,000, 20% down on $500.
Right.
Okay.
You got it. And then $50,000 as the appraisal gap or your appraisal contingency, whatever you want to say, because you're making up the difference from what you offered to what the appraisal came in. That's hence the term appraisal gap, right?
Yeah.
Now,
on a full appraisal gap.
Correct, on a full appraisal gap. Now, maybe you've set up in the offer.
So just to backtrack really quick.
Sorry.
So it's $100,000 plus $50. Okay.
Right.
The loan's going to be on $400.
Well, yeah, correct. That's exactly right.
Okay. No, go ahead. As you were saying.
But let's say that's not the only option. You don't have to offer a full appraisal gap with no cap whatsoever. Let's say you have $25,000 extra that you're willing to put down, correct?
Yeah.
And so essentially in our scenario where you've come in at a $500,000 appraisal, now you've guaranteed that you would pay $25,000 above that $500,000 appraisal. So our scenario still stands that you'd pay $100,000 towards the $500,000. So you're getting a $400,000 loan, but you're bringing an additional $25,000 to the table because the sellers have negotiated down from $550 to $525, so you met them in the middle.
And now we're amending the purchase price, right? Because it appraised at $500. You said, hey, I'll come with $25K, even though you offered $550, which is something we'll talk about. So you offered $550, hoping that it might appraise for $550, which everything has been. So sometimes there is some strategy to that. But it doesn't, right? So it appraises at $500, which was the list price. Just using round numbers here. Okay. Now you've got to come meet. You're making up the difference to $25,000. So you're doing your down payment of $100. You're now bringing another $25,000 cash. We're going to amend the purchase price now to $525, and that's what that home is going to close at.
Right. That's exactly right.
Now let's say, what happens if it appraises for $560?
High fives all around.
That's big high fives.
Big high fives all around. If you've done, yeah, exactly. If you've never, if you didn't do a full appraisal gap, it doesn't matter if you did a full appraisal gap or the $25,000 that we just mentioned. Either way, you're still going off the 550 purchase price. There's no addition to your loan amount. There's no subtraction. It goes off of the lower of the appraised value or the contract price, right? So in our scenario, if it comes in at 560 or even 600, all we're going to do is go off of the 550 purchase price. Everything stays exactly the same. 20% off of 550, and you're going forward on that.
So you're 20% down.
So,
shifts, right? So
Correct.
that's the thing. So now it's 560. So now you're paying what is that? 112.
Well, no. So you're, if it comes in at 560, it's still going off the 550. Anything above 550 to 560, it's just equity in your
Okay.
pocket. So it's just, that's why it's
I
still
get
high
confused
fives.
myself sometimes.
No, that's.
You got to think.
I'm
about
on
it
this
twice.
side. I like it that, that's why you ask me questions about the lending side. That's totally perfect. But I also don't want to go all doom and gloom with the appraisal gap. There are benefits. If you're looking at, let's say you only have a certain amount of money, but you want to offer an appraisal gap of some sort, that $25,000, right? Maybe we can adjust your loan to not putting the 20% down and adjust it to a 15% down.
Which I just recently did for another buyer. So they changed from 20% down to 10% down, freeing up more cash, and that's something you can do at the last week, right? The
Sure.
last minute, really. I mean,
Right.
essentially, as long as it's before enough time for title.
Title and underwriting. If we have to go back one. So I would say if you can do it within the last 5 days, we should be just fine.
That's also something to consider. So how does that make a difference for you? Let's say you're trying to buy a house in this crazy market, right? A lot of people are getting buyer fatigue. They're getting very disappointed. They've got this, you see the house, it's a dream house. It's just like the kid's playing right there. The dog is peeing on the rug. It's a nice rug, but it's in the house. And like you're seeing everything and you're drinking your coffee in the kitchen, and then you lose the home, right? Because somebody comes in with cash or something else. So how can you maximize your offer? Well, first things first. You got to get clear with your cash. I always tell my buyers, how much can you spend without absolutely killing yourself and stressing yourself out once you move in? Okay, and then also too, can we get our offer accepted? And then if we need to, adjust that down payment maybe down the road. That is an option if we need to sometimes. We don't really want to go into it that way, but
it's good to have a contingency plan.
It's good to have a contingency plan.
Right.
You want to get under contract, right? So obviously we want to be ethical about what we do all the time, but there's flexibility in there once you get under contract. That's all we're trying to say. So like I tell folks, hey, if somebody else, let's say your purchase price is, you're offering $550, you have an appraisal gap of 25, somebody else offers $540 and they have an appraisal gap of 30, well, who's the better offer now? They are. You got to look at it from the seller's point of view. Wow, both these buyers' credit scores look fine, their financials are good. That's an extra 10 grand now. Maybe I'm not willing as a seller to roll the dice on that appraising for 550, right? And so now I'll choose. So now that's their decision to make. And so now you might get beat out by an offer that's got a slightly higher appraisal gap, and maybe the offer price isn't as high. So there's some things to think about, and you can drive yourself nuts thinking about all the different scenarios, but just understanding what that means, what an appraisal gap means, is half the battle in this seller's market right now if you're a buyer. So
Absolutely.
Is there anything they need to watch out for as a buyer on the lending side when they're doing their appraisal gap language? If I'm writing an offer for somebody, what are some things that might come up, as we get into the meat of the loan? Let's say we get under contract, right? Mm-hmm. What are some things that could become an issue?
Sure. Yeah, so I think the biggest thing, and this is for any type of loan, but specifically we've seen this more and more often. Let's say you have 20 grand sitting in the safe at home, right? Just rainy day fund. So I, as the lender, have verified what you have in your retirement account, your checking account, your savings account, right? Those are the 3 accounts you have. But I don't know anything about the $20,000 cash, right? And you tell your real estate agent, well, yeah, I'll offer a $20,000 appraisal gap because I have that money. Well, unfortunately, in the lending world, you don't. Cash is not king in the lending world. You can't just pop that into your account and use that. So that's the biggest thing. You need to disclose all of the funds that you plan on potentially using for this home purchase. Because if we can't do what's called source those funds, we can't use them. That's one of the big things that you have to be aware of.
At what point do these hoarders of cash need to disclose their mattress money?
60 days ahead of schedule, realistically. We need to have them in the bank account 2 months before you plan on using those funds so they can do what's called season. We have to season those funds for 60 days to verify that they've not come from illegal sources, or you're not kicking them some cash, or I'm not kicking them some cash. That's the whole purpose of it. They need to make sure that they're coming from reasonable sources that are within their own income or their savings or family giving them gift. We can't just use cash on hand.
Cool. Well, that I think covers it for today. If you have any more questions about that, especially on the lending side, feel free to reach out to Jeff here, Jeff.loveland at Guaranteed Rate down here in Greenwood Village. If you have any questions just about the Denver housing market or anything related to finding a home here or selling a home, just reach out to me as well. My name's Eddie Johnson. Our info will be down in the it's the subject box below. I don't know what it is. Just it's down below somewhere. Try to figure it out, okay? See you later.
Thanks.